Let me tell you something I learned the hard way, and once I understood it, it changed everything. Your future is not something you stumble into, it's something you build, brick by brick, decision by decision, day by day. Success doesn't show up like a surprise birthday party. It doesn't sneak into your life while you're binge watching Netflix or waiting for the perfect time to get serious. Success shows up for the person who made a decision right here, right now, that enough is enough. It shows up for the one who gets tired of being sick and tired, who looks in the mirror and says, I am done waiting for circumstances to hand me a life I haven't earned. I will create it. The truth is, people don't get stuck because they lack potential. They stay stuck because they won't make the decision. I've seen people with half your resources, half your connections, half your education, and half your opportunities rise to extraordinary success simply because they made the decision to stop living on autopilot. They decided to stop making excuses. They decided to stop blaming other people, their past, or their pain for where they were. The future you want isn't waiting at the end of the rainbow. It's right here in front of you, disguised as the boring, often uncomfortable daily choices you keep postponing. The life you dream about is hidden inside the habits you practice or the ones you neglect. You can pray, you can hope, you can wish, but until you decide, until you say, this is the line and I'm not backing up from it, nothing changes. I've watched people treat success like it's a lottery ticket, as if one day their numbers will get called and suddenly everything will turn around, but success is never a matter of luck. It's always a matter of alignment, decision, and action. And the moment you get serious about your future, the moment you start treating every day as an investment rather than a placeholder, you'll start seeing changes you never thought possible. You don't need a new year for a new life. You don't need a new job or a new relationship or a new economy. You just need to decide. Success is a decision long before it ever shows up as a result. The seed always gets planted before the harvest is visible. And the beautiful thing is, you don't have to have all the answers when you make the decision. You just have to choose that the person you've been is no longer the person you're willing to stay. Once you settle that, your future is already in motion. It's just a matter of time before the world catches up with the commitment you made in secret. So if you want to change your life in 6 months, it starts right here, right now, not with the world changing, but with you changing how you show up to the world. Make the decision today, and the future will meet you on the other side of your discipline. Let me tell you something most people overlook. The greatest breakthroughs in your life will never come from one big dramatic action. They come from the little things you do over and over long after the excitement wears off. See, the world has trained us to crave intensity, to chase the next big moment, the viral success, the overnight transformation. But real success doesn't belong to the person who does something once and hopes it sticks. Real success belongs to the person who wakes up every day and does the work whether they feel like it or not. I've seen people go all in for a week. I've seen them wake up at 5 a.m., hit the gym, pray harder, study longer, push stronger, and then as soon as the emotions fade, they go right back to where they started. Why? Because intensity is easy to start but impossible to sustain without consistency. It's like a spark, bright for a moment but gone if you don't feed it. But the person who wins in life, that's the person who shows up every single day, whether the sky is clear or the storm is raging. It's the person who understands that small, seemingly insignificant choices compound into massive results. You want to transform your finances? It's not about one lucky investment. It's about the daily discipline of stewardship, managing what you have, planning for what's next, and showing up for the opportunity when it finally knocks. You want a strong marriage? It's not about grand gestures once or twice a year. It's about how you show up for your spouse every single day. You want your business to explode? It's not about one viral marketing campaign. It's about mastering the fundamentals and applying them with ruthless consistency, even when nobody's applauding. I'm going to tell you something you need to let sink deep. The life you want isn't hidden in the extraordinary. It's buried in the ordinary, repeated consistently. You don't have to be the smartest, the strongest, or the most talented. You just have to be the most consistent. The truth is, It's not about intensity, it's about identity. Because when consistency becomes part of who you are, you don't negotiate with your feelings. You don't have to debate whether you feel like working on your goals today or not. You just show up. Because that's what success-minded people do. You don't water a seed once and expect a tree. You don't hit the gym once and expect muscles. You don't show up for your dream one time and expect your life to change. You build brick by brick, day by day, in silence, in obscurity, when nobody's clapping and nobody's posting about you, until one day, and it always happens, the world wakes up and calls it an overnight success. But you and I will know the truth. It wasn't overnight at all. So whatever dream you're holding on to, whatever mountain you're trying to climb, it's not the big bursts of effort that will get you there. It's the quiet, unseen, often boring commitment to doing the right things every day. Consistency beats intensity every single time. One of the most powerful lessons I've ever learned, and one that too many people overlook, is this. Your environment will always win, no matter how strong your willpower is, no matter how big your goals are. If you are planted in the wrong soil, growth will always be a struggle. Success is not just about hard work, it's about wise work. It's about making sure the place you're standing is capable of producing the future you say you want. I want you to imagine for a second that you've got the seed of greatness in your hands. That seed holds potential beyond anything you can currently imagine. But if you plant it in dry, cracked, rocky ground and never water it, will it grow? Of course not. Not because the seed wasn't powerful, but because the environment couldn't support its growth. Some of you are frustrated with your lack of progress, and you think it's a you problem, when the truth is, it's an environment problem. You've got all the potential in the world, but you've surrounded yourself with people, places, conversations, and habits that are designed to keep you average. You've got dreams in your heart, but the circle you sit in only talks about limitations. You want to become wealthy, but your daily environment speaks poverty. You want to develop discipline, but your environment constantly offers you comfort. And until you fix your environment, your growth will always feel like a battle. The environments you tolerate are the results you'll receive. If your friends, your feed, your conversations, and even your physical spaces don't call you higher, they will pull you lower. Growth is not automatic. It's intentional, and part of that intention is choosing to design your environment so it pulls you forward even on the days your motivation feels weak. When I made the decision to change my life, one of the first things I did wasn't buy a new planner or read a new book. I changed my environment. I started listening to people who were already where I wanted to be. I started showing up in rooms where the conversation stretched my mind, not shrunk it. I started surrounding myself with people who didn't let me settle for less than the best version of myself. Your environment is like gravity. It's always pulling you towards something. The question is it pulling you closer to your purpose or dragging you back to your past? If you want to transform your life in 6 months, you've got to build a world around you that feeds your faith, not your fear. You've got to create habits, relationships, and routines that serve the vision, not sabotage it. Because success isn't just about effort, it's about alignment. And when your environment is in alignment with your goals, success stops feeling like a fight and starts becoming the natural byproduct of who you've chosen to become. One of the reasons so many people stay stuck in the cycle of frustration is because they're only thinking about the next 24 hours instead of the next 24 years. They're making decisions based on comfort today rather than the kind of legacy they want to leave behind tomorrow. But if you want to live a life of freedom, a life of significance, a life that speaks even when you're no longer around, you've got to learn the art of sacrificing in the short term. You see, the people who are winning in life, they don't win because they avoid sacrifice. They win because they've learned to master it. They've trained themselves to value future freedom over present comfort. They've trained themselves to say no to distractions even when it feels like everyone else is having fun, because they understand the reward isn't for the person who starts fast, it's for the person who finishes strong. I remember when I was broke, and I mean broke. I had every excuse to stay where I was. I could have blamed my circumstances. I could have justified my inaction. But instead, I asked myself a powerful question. What kind of story am I writing with my life? What will my children remember about me? What will the people I love see when they look at how I showed up? And the answer hit me hard. The life I was living wasn't the legacy I wanted to leave. That was the moment I realized if I wanted a future worth living, I had to start acting like it today. I had to stop chasing temporary pleasures and start embracing purposeful discipline. I had to understand that short-term sacrifices are the down payment for long-term freedom. And here's the thing, your success isn't just about you. It's about everyone who comes after you, your family, your community, your future self. Every decision you make is a brick in the foundation of your legacy. Every time you show up, even when you don't feel like it, you're teaching yourself and everyone watching that greatness is possible. But if you don't learn to think legacy, you'll always stay stuck in the loop of instant gratification. And let me tell you, the world is full of people trading their potential for comfort. Don't be one of them. Your dream deserves better than that. Every successful person you admire today had a season where they paid the price before they ever saw the payoff. They sacrificed sleep. They sacrificed entertainment. They sacrificed popularity. And because of that, they're living in the freedom you're still dreaming about. But here's the beauty of it all. The same future is available to you if you're willing to make the decision. If you're willing to think bigger than the moment you're in. If you're willing to trade easy now for freedom later. That's how legacies are built. That's how ordinary people become extraordinary. And it all starts the moment you stop thinking like a prisoner of your present and start thinking like an architect of your future. You know, one of the greatest lies the world will sell you is that your life will change the more noise you create and the more noise you consume. But the truth is, the more silent you become, the more powerful you get. Mastery, real growth, real transformation, that doesn't happen when you're scrolling your feed, chasing trends, or jumping from distraction to distraction. It happens in the quiet, when no one is clapping, when no one's looking, and you are fully locked in on becoming the person you were designed to be. See, the world will try to convince you that the more you chase the next big thing, the faster you'll arrive. But success isn't about chasing noise. Success is about creating clarity. And clarity is only born in stillness. When you eliminate the distractions, when you turn off the notifications, when you step away from the opinions, when you block out the comparison game, that's when you can finally hear the most important voice, the one inside of you. I had to learn this myself the hard way. There was a season in my life where I thought the louder I shouted about my goals, the more real they would become. I thought the more I told people about my plans, the more likely they'd happen. But what I learned is, talking is easy, execution is rare. It wasn't until I learned to quiet the outside world, to stop announcing and start applying, that I began to see real change in my life. Silence isn't weakness, silence is strength. Silence is the place where you build the blueprint for your future. The world is busy screaming for attention, but the builders, the real ones, are working in quiet, letting their results do the talking. The person who can master silence can master anything because that's where self-awareness, discipline, and vision sharpen. You don't rise to greatness because you followed the crowd. You rise because you learn to block the crowd out long enough to hear your own assignment. When you stop filling your mind with noise, you give your purpose space to breathe. And once your purpose has room to grow, it starts to guide you like a compass, no matter what distractions are swirling around you. The world might measure people by how loud they are, but life measures people by how deeply they've worked in silence. The harvest always looks effortless from the outside, but the seed was planted and nurtured in quiet places. So if you want real results, if you want real transformation, if you want to master yourself and your success, you've got to silence the noise, get still, and put in the work that nobody sees. Because the truth is, everything you're chasing will start falling into place the moment you stop trying to impress the world and start focusing on improving yourself day by day in the quiet. One of the most misunderstood truths about success is that it doesn't show up all at once. It doesn't come crashing through the door like a lottery ticket or a miracle moment. No, success sneaks up on you. It's quiet, it's patient, and it shows up little by little, built on small decisions, stacked one on top of the other until the foundation is so strong, nothing can shake it. I call this the compound effect, the most powerful yet the most underestimated force in your life. See, every single day, whether you realize it or not, you're making deposits, small deposits, into your mindset, into your health, into your relationships, into your business, into your character. And at first, those deposits don't look like much. At first, you won't see the results. At first, it feels like all that effort is going unnoticed. But compound growth isn't about immediate gratification. It's about sustained commitment. I remember when I first started working toward financial freedom, the numbers in my bank account didn't move much at first. The work was slow, the progress invisible, but I kept showing up. I kept making the small, smart decisions every single day. I kept investing in my growth. I kept improving my skills. I kept nurturing my network. And little by little, those tiny decisions began to stack. And before I knew it, I crossed the line from struggle to stability. And then from stability to surplus. Most people quit not because the goal is impossible. They quit because the reward doesn't come fast enough. But if you can understand the power of compound growth, you'll stop looking for overnight success and start building an unstoppable daily routine. You'll stop judging your life by today's harvest and start focusing on the seeds you're planting and watering every single day. Because success isn't one giant leap forward. It's 1,000 small steps taken with purpose, even on the days you feel like standing still. And the beautiful part is, once the momentum of those daily choices kicks in, success becomes inevitable. It becomes automatic because you've programmed it into your life, one small win at a time. So don't get discouraged when the payoff isn't instant. Don't abandon your path because the world isn't clapping for you yet. Keep stacking those wins. Keep making those decisions that align with your purpose even when no one's watching, because in time, the world will look at your results and call you lucky. But you'll know the truth. It wasn't luck, it was the compound effect of your quiet, consistent daily choices. One of the most life-changing revelations I ever had was understanding that transformation doesn't happen in years. It happens in a moment. One single decision has the power to shift the entire trajectory of your life. Now, don't confuse that with the idea that the results happen instantly. No, the results take time. The process takes patience. But the shift, the real shift, happens in the blink of an eye, the moment you decide. I can still remember standing in front of the mirror at one of the lowest points in my life, broke, frustrated, and tired of living below my potential. I looked myself dead in the eye and realized the person staring back at me was the product of every choice I had made up until that moment. Not my circumstances, not my upbringing, not the economy, not the people around me, my choices. And if my choices had created that version of me, then new choices could create a new version of me. And that was the moment everything changed. I didn't wait for the perfect plan, the perfect timing, or someone's permission to start. I just made the decision. No more excuses, no more playing small, no more shrinking to fit into a life I had outgrown. I decided I was going to build a new future, and from that day forward, every action, every habit, every relationship either aligned with that decision or got left behind. See, we make the mistake of thinking that big change requires big circumstances, but in reality, big change begins with a bold choice. You don't have to wait until January 1st. You don't have to wait until Monday, and you definitely don't have to wait until life gets easier. The doorway to a new life is always just one decision away. And the beauty of that truth is this: You don't have to fix everything at once. You don't have to have the whole staircase figured out. You just have to take the first step, and the rest will reveal itself as you move. Most people stay stuck, not because they don't have the ability, but because they never give themselves permission to decide. So I'm here to remind you today, your future isn't waiting on anyone else. It's waiting on you. One decision, one defining moment where you say, enough is enough. I will no longer settle for the life I've outgrown. I will step boldly into the person I was created to become. That's the moment your life changes. That's when the shift begins. And once you've decided, the universe, the opportunities, the people, the resources, they all start rearranging themselves to meet you at the level of your decision. But it all starts with you. One decision, that's the distance between the life you have and the life you want. Every single person you admire, every success story you've ever heard, every legacy that has stood the test of time, all of it was built on one thing: discipline. Not motivation, not luck, not convenience, discipline. Motivation will excite you for a moment, but discipline will carry you through the moments when excitement is nowhere to be found. Because the truth is, there will be days when your goals feel impossible, when the journey seems too long, when nobody is cheering and the progress feels invisible. It's in those moments that discipline is either your best friend or your biggest gap. I learned early on that dreams are cheap, but discipline is priceless. Anybody can talk about success. Anybody can visualize a better life. Anybody can post about grinding and hustling. But the ones who win, the ones who really shift their lives, are the ones who get up and do what needs to be done, whether they feel like it or not. Discipline is the silent architect of every great future. And there were times in my life when my circumstances screamed louder than my vision. When the bank account was empty, when the setbacks were stacking up, when I felt invisible, when nothing seemed to be working. But I learned that if I just kept showing up, if I kept the commitment I made to myself, long after the mood I made it in had passed, the gap between where I was and where I wanted to be would start to close, step by step, day by day. Discipline isn't about perfection. Discipline is about consistency. It's about deciding that your goals are non-negotiable and that the actions required to achieve them are no longer up for debate, no matter what mood, obstacle, or excuse shows up. It's about refusing to let temporary feelings rob you of permanent breakthroughs. You've got to understand, discipline is the bridge. You can stand on one side of that bridge all day long, holding your dreams in your hands, talking about your plans, wishing and hoping and waiting. But unless you start walking the bridge of discipline, your goals will stay exactly where they are on the other side. Every step you take in discipline moves you closer. Every act of self-control, every early morning, every late night grind, every time you choose growth over comfort, you lay another brick on that bridge. And here's the thing. Once you commit to discipline, the world starts to move differently around you. Opportunities show up for the consistent. Success rewards the prepared. Life honors the person who has proven they can handle what they've asked for. And that proof is found in discipline, not in desire. So if you want to close the gap between where you are and where you could be, it won't happen by wishing harder. It happens by choosing discipline again and again until your results have no choice but to follow.